I've got my Club Cumming glass here, Alan. Although the effect is making it disappear.
Ah, look at that.
Water in it, though, sadly, not this time. Well, congratulations on the film. I saw it at Sundance, and then I really enjoyed revisiting, actually, the film, which is interesting because it's partly about memory. So going back to it, so about 45 minutes in, I was like, oh, there's an hour left, and I feel like I know this story, but it keeps unraveling, doesn't it? Which so it was really enjoyable to see it for a second time. But yeah, I just wondered why, so nearly 30 years on, each of you wanted to revisit this story and kind of re-explore it, I guess. Maybe, Jono, you want to start with that?
I mean, yeah, I guess basically myself and my classmates, we were all aware that there had been various attempts to tell this story on film over the years, and that it hadn't been successful. The main one we were aware of was that in the 1990s, there was supposed to be this movie made about Brandon's story, and it was going to be directed by, and it was going to star one Alan Cumming. So that was always in the back of our heads. We knew that then never came about. We were all very suspicious when Drew Barrymore's Never Been Kissed appeared a couple of years after that. But yeah, we just basically, it got to the point where, I was the only one of us who grew up to be a filmmaker. So I realized that if anybody was going to try and tell the story from everyone's perspective rather than just Brandon's, then it was falling to me to do that. So yeah, basically that's what we've done. We got the gang back together. We had our school reunion. We rebuilt our classroom, and we went for it.
Yeah, because it's like, it is about collective memory. It's almost like a chorus telling the story, isn't it? And it's interesting as you feed people different bits of information, their reactions to it.
Yeah, basically, I wanted the audience to feel like they're a member of Class 5C at Bearsden Academy. And I wanted to kind of try and capture that connection that we all have with each other. And that connection is a connection that I didn't know existed until I started making this film. I walked away from school and didn't really keep in touch with that many people. So for a lot of those classmates that you're seeing in the film, I hadn't seen them in 25 years. So it was really surreal to suddenly see our 40-something selves sitting at the school desk again. It was really strange.
And it was so funny at the premiere in Glasgow, at the party afterwards. I met them all. And of course, I'd seen them so many times in the various cuts of the film. But I saw them, and it was really interesting just how so much has changed, but also so much hadn't changed. You saw them kind of in the same little groups, and there was a guy who'd been one of the bullies going around kind of apologising and buying people drink. It was really amazing. And I think what an incredible sort of gift you've given them, Jono, actually, to be able to not only come together, but also to relive and reassess something that was it's hard to describe what a huge story this was in Scotland. It was massive. I think, we think we're pretty canny and no one can pull the wool over our eyes. And here's someone who did that in front of our eyes and in plain sight. So it must have been an incredible thing suddenly to have all the press outside your school gates. So it's a lovely thing to see everyone kind of, going back and reliving it.
And yeah, and as well as being this fascinating story, in making this film about it, all sorts of interesting and quite profound themes kind of emerge from it. And I wonder, for you Jono, you're a writer, director, and you did some of the editing. When did some of that start to kind of reveal itself to you? And I wondered, like, how consciously were you sort of shaping it, or was it more of a case of it just sort of, like I say, revealing itself? So I'm thinking of things like... yeah. No, go ahead.
So no, sorry, on you go.
Well, I thought I just sort of stumped you, but if you've got an answer, go ahead.
I was going to go with an answer, but if you can give me a concise version of that, and I'm not quite grasping you.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking of some of the themes, but I didn't want to put words in your mouth. But like time and memory and the stories that we tell ourselves and all those kind of things. I just wondered how sort of consciously you were shaping that, or if it was sort of just emerging from the film.
I found it all out along the way, I guess, and I guess I didn't realize that, you know, the themes of the film would reveal themselves to me over the years that I was making it. I think one of the main characters in the film is actually not a person; it's the town of Bearsden, where our school was. You know, it's kind of the sort of Beverly Hills of Glasgow, and it has a certain kudos to going to school there. I'm not from that town. I was one of the bussed-in kids. I'm from a town called Clydebank on the other side of the tracks. So I was very much an outsider at school. As well as, I mean, a lot of the question you always get asked if you're in Brandon's class is, how did you not know that this hoax was going on? And for me, the reason was because I had my own secrets. I was a 16-year-old gay kid who I just kept my head down. How was I to know there was a tabloid scandal 3 desks away from me? Because I was so focused on not being picked out and not being bullied by the same people who were bullying, you know, a number of other kids, as we see in the film. So, you know, that kind of revealed itself to me that actually my memories of school and the difficult times that I had at school were shared by a number of other people. And I look back now and I think, gosh, if I could do it all over again, I'd know how to do that better. I'd know how to help people. I'd know how to stand up for myself. So big wow, the person who came back to school and managed to help those people and stand up for themselves was perhaps not the same age as the rest of us.
Was that an aspect that resonated with you, Alan, too? Because I felt watching it as a queer person, sort of remembering being at school and that line that Brandon says about sort of hiding in plain sight, and sort of made me think about, I don't know, if you're a gay kid and you're not out, like the way that you walk and what you talk about and all those sort of things, is this kind of performance there to some degree, isn't there?
Totally. I think that's why so many kind of queer icons are people who are sort of playing a role. They're kind of representing a side of themselves and maybe not able to fully reveal everything about themselves. And also why I think, you know, characters like Wonder Woman. I once spoke to Linda Carter about why she thought she was a gay icon, and she said, because I think the Wonder Woman character is really fabulous, but she's not allowed to be so fabulous in her life. And I think that's something that we understand, the idea of having multiple realities. And I think that Brandon definitely is the epitome of that. And also the ideas when you're talking about memory, I really think, having written a couple of memoirs, I actually am fascinated by this idea about how something that happened can be perceived so differently by different people, and how also that can change over time. You know, that's what's so great about the film, I think, is that you see people having the rug pulled from under them about what their recollection of something that they all shared is. And that, I think those two things, the sort of idea of our memories being unreliable, and also our how over time we change our opinions about our memories. It's just absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah, definitely. And I love your performance in this. And I feel like a lip sync is a good way to describe it, because people know what it is, but it's almost a bit of a reductive term, because I feel like it adds just another layer of, you know, meaning, seeing you sort of physically embody Brandon's words. And I don't know, did you feel like you were channeling him? Did it feel like a sort of a mix of, I guess, sort of doing something technical and something pretty creative?
Yes, it did, because, you know, I did it was essentially a vocally led exercise. It's a vocally led performance, but you can, you know, his voice infused his whole spirit and his whole being. So I only had that to go. I mean, I obviously had seen videos of him and everything, but it really was crazy that was what I had, and that was what it was. Kind of, it came like this from inside through the voice. Whereas normally, I think, you know, I would think about it from a much more less channeled way. It was nuts. I've never done anything like this. And it is a lip syncing performance, but it is a bit reductive to say that, because hopefully it's just a performance. Yes. And, you know, but the lip syncing is pretty good as well.
Yes. Has it given you a bit of a sort of newfound appreciation for Queens, especially doing the, I don't know, did you see All Stars 7 recently, where they did Designing Women? They actually did a dialogue lip sync for a change rather than a song.
I was making a thing in Vancouver. I watched some of it. No, I didn't see that bit. But I've always had, like, you know, I have my club Cumming in New York, and we have you know, drag performers there and all sorts of performers. But I'm always very, like, you know, if you're a drag queen, there's only two things you have to do: look fabulous, or have a look, and know the fucking words. So I think if you know, the thing with getting the mic and putting the mic over your face when you don't know the lines, I don't like that. So now I feel absolutely justified in throwing shade at bad lip syncing and a drag queen. So watch out, New York.
Yes, well, I live in the East Village in New York, so I'm local to the bar, and it's one of my favorite places in the city. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. No, you created something really special with it, I think. And Jono, I wondered how open was the man who you knew as Brandon Lee to giving you this interview, and what was that process like? Was it one long session, or?
Yeah, it was one long session. We'd spent a bit of time hanging out before that, but yeah, we just did one long recording session in our recording studios with a kind of tech crew, and it was the very first interview we did, and that was it, really. Never really heard much from him again after that. I think that for Brandon, he's got his version of events, and perhaps when he realised that I was going to be reaching out to other people who might remember things differently, that seemed a bit less appealing. And also for Brandon, the time he spent with us at Bearsden Academy is the least interesting part of his story. For him, he's really focused on the kind of background to it, what made him do it, and he doesn't see why we're so focused on this, to me, what is the perfect high school movie. You know, a stranger arrives in our high school class and things will never be the same. It's Mean Girls, it's Clueless, it's all those amazing high school movies. So for me, that's what I wanted to make. And I think, you know, I think a lot of people expected that I was making The Tinder Swindler or The Imposter or one of those, you know, true crime movies. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make a high school movie. And that's why I wanted to put in those nods to high school movies in it. So we've got Claire Grogan as one of our teachers, who was famously Gregory's girl. And ultimately, we have Lulu playing our headmistress, and she also sings our title song in a kind of To Soar With Love nod. And so, yeah, I wanted to celebrate the high school movie because I felt that our high school class of 1993, we had the perfect high school movie happen to us. And so we wanted to bring that to the screen, and that's what we've got together and done.
And I think Alan might have been in a high school movie too.
Yes, I know. Yeah, Alan would have got this role anyway, but the fact that he is in Romeo and Michelle, I mean, I dare, can anyone tell me 3 Scottish actors who've been in more iconic high school movies than the 3 actors I have in my film? If anyone can, they win a prize.
I love being a nod too in anything. It's a lovely thing to be.
Because it's just briefly, it's the 25th anniversary, isn't it, of Romeo and Michelle being released? I don't know. How do you sort of think back on that film now? And I don't know, there's been rumblings about a sequel for a long time, but I don't know, how do you sort of look back on that film?
I look back on it. I mean, it's kind of one of these films that I'm aware that people are obsessed with, and my friend Rod Thomas, who's Bright Light, who does a thing at Club Cumming every Saturday called, in fact, he had to cancel yet because he was here in Glasgow this past week performing, but he does a thing called Romeo and Michelle's high school tea dance. So, and you have to, like, when you do a request, you write it on a post-it. He's you know, it's such a great thing. It's got this whole kind of, it really struck a chord with people. And for me, it was a huge thing. It was the first movie I ever did in America. It was the first time I played an American. I don't know why they cast me, but it was a great sort of thing in my life and in my career, and, you know, sort of being a big part in a studio picture. But it's also like I've maybe seen it 2 or 3 times in my life, and I always see this. I always see clips. You know, I don't really watch things I've been in more. You know, I'm more likely to watch sort of interviews or things like that for a laugh. Like I recently watched 2 times, before they took it all off YouTube, I watched the 2 times I was on Wendy Williams, because Wendy Williams was finishing, and someone said something, oh, I was on her show, and I'm like, what? And what was hilarious was that both times she said that she thought I looked like Ryan Reynolds. And I was like, what are you talking about, Wendy? I look nothing like Ryan Reynolds. And she had, and she did it both times. In fact, both interviews, she kind of asked me the same questions, like repeat, just the same. Did I wear anything under my kilt? Did I want to have children? Did I think I looked like Ryan Reynolds? And I wanted to get my assistant to do an edit of both the Ryan Reynolds bits and put it on my Instagram. And then they took all the Wendy Williams things off the internet. Anyway, I sometimes feel bad because when I've been at a party and people have put Romeo and Michelle on, and they all look at me when it's my bits, and I kind of just go, oh, I don't really know them. I feel a bit like I'm a bad, sort of high school icon. But it was a great film. And yes, there's been another sort of lot of rumblings about a sequel, and I think that'd be great. I would love to do that. I think it was such a, and obviously it's so resonated with people, and I always think it's great if something is beloved, to go back to it a long time afterwards is much better for me than. And there's always these little Easter eggs you can drop and little kind of fun little references. So maybe it'll happen. Who knows? And I, of course, now look much younger with my new black hair than I ever did, even when I was.
You could be Janine Garofalo.
I look like Janine Garofalo right now. I do. I seem to get this. Oh, fuck off! So there you go.
So yeah, you could all switch roles. Maybe that's the concept for the sequel. And so a question for each of you, and it's for your favorite piece of LGBTQ plus culture. So it could be a book, a play, a musical, a movie, TV series, any piece of culture, or a person who identifies as LGBTQ plus, someone or something that's had an impact on you and kind of resonated with you over the years, and why? do you want to go first, Jono?
Yeah, I can. I think to me it is, and it's also for me the greatest movie ever made. It's the one that's had the most influence on me, and it's Muriel's Wedding. I can watch it again and again and again. It's the most perfect, beautiful, sweet, heartbreaking film. It kind of has parallels for my film basically, and there's nods. So you might see in the movie the kids go to the cinema to see Muriel's Wedding. There's a Rubettes song in this film, and that's all my kind of nods to that movie because it's just so special to me. Muriel is an imposter, a fantasist, somebody who creates things, lies about things, but also changes people's lives for the better. And yeah, so that's why that's a special film to me.
Jono, that's so funny, because I'm right now I'm in Jono's flat in Glasgow. He's very kindly let me stay here while I'm rehearsing, and we've been watching Tony in the staircase. So every night,
isn't she amazing? Yeah.
No,
she's just the most fantastic actress.
So good. And the bit when she's watching, they're watching America's Sweethearts, and she's watching it and guffawing and laughing. It really reminded me of Muriel, actually, that way she laughs. And my thing would be, I don't know why I thought of this, but Quentin Crisp. I just love some of his sayings. I met him once at so he was this incredible sort of English sort of queer creation, and he went to New York and he said this great thing. He said, the moment I saw New York, I knew I had to have it. And then he said, when I met him, we'd been photographed by David LaChapelle, and there was an exhibition, and I went outside to have a cigarette, and he came out, he was leaving, and he went, we appear to be the only people in this exhibition with our clothes on. So I think, and my other favorite one of his, which you'll appreciate where you are in LA right now, Jono, is he said, Los Angeles is New York lying down. And I just think I love that.
I think I was just saying that to someone last night. I was like, there's nothing to see here. It's all so flat. What are you building? That is what it is. Wow.
Well, Jono, Alan, thanks so much. And Alan, all the best with Burn as well at the Edinburgh Festival.
Thank you. Freaking out about it right now, but yes, thanks so much.
I'll speak to you again soon. Congratulations on the film.
Thanks.
James.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.